Greetings, Sir Daniel 1975, back again. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos, and this is part of my series, Scottish Genealogical Fantasies. This video is about a tale that comes out of Clan Fraser of Lovat, and it's about a battle between the MacDonalds of Clanranald and the Fraser of Lovat. And some of you know that I'm a stickler about the history of Highland dress, and it has a lot to do with my background with various things. I'm not going to get into that, but the earliest accepted date amongst Kilt historians for the wearing of the Belted Plaid, or the Feileadh Mor, as you say it in Gaelic, which means the Great Wrap, is from 1594. And that's from a book called The Life of Hugh O'Donnell the Red. And the events took place actually in 1594. The book was published a little bit later. And there's a description from the chronicler who was with Hugh O'Donnell about the Highland mercenaries that were brought over to fight for his Catholic cause against the Protestant, against the Protestants at the time in Northern Ireland, and there you go. And it describes the Belted Plaid, or the Feileadh Mor, to the T. Now, if you go here, which you're seeing on my screen, I've got a page up from the Encyclopedia of Scottish Clans and Families. And it's a nifty little book. I think it's out of print, but you can still get it on Amazon and some other places. I think Alibris, if you look for it. And you won't pay a whole lot of money because there's a lot of used copies floating around. But it's a good little reference book to have, and it has sort of the generic, summarized history of the clans in there. And to kind of back this or get into this story, I do lots of presentations on Highland dress for various things, and I had done one early this summer, back in June, and somebody came up to me and was from Clan Fraser, USA, and brought this whole issue up, and we got into this about 40-minute conversation over the thing. And basically, I'm going to try to summarize it as this. The battle is called, let me see, I don't know if my cursor is visible on this screen cap. It's called Blàr na Léine. Okay, Léine is the Gaelic word. It's used in Ireland and is used in Scotland as well. And it actually just means shirt. And the translation is the field of shirts. And it was a battle that took place at Loch Lochy with the Clanranald and the Frasers of Lovat, and it took place in 1544. So that is a full 50 years exactly, roughly, to the events of 1594 that took place with Hugh O'Donnell the Red in Northern Ireland. So anyway, let's see if I can read here a little bit. Let me back up. And it says, let me see here. The MacDonalds had been stalking the invaders, but held back so long as they were numerically inferior, a position which reserved once Huntly's men were gone. They moved swiftly to outflank Lovat and fell upon the unsuspecting Frasers on a stretch of wild marshland to the north of Loch Lochy. The battle became known as Blàr na Léine, the field of shirts, when the heat of day compelled the Highlanders to throw off their heavy plaids, or Feileadh Mor, to fight in their shirts. Okay, and then it goes on to say, in parentheses, some modern scholars dispute this translation, asserting that it really refers to a marshy ground. However, Léine is the Gaelic word for shirt, so there is a certain truth to that. Now, in the Renaissance period, the main garment that was worn in Ireland and in Scotland is the léine, as a big shirt with big long bell sleeves on it. And actually, any shirt in Gaelic is technically called a Léine. However, we tend to refer to the one from the Renaissance period, middle of the 1500s, as the Léine. It is a reference. Also in Scotland, it was nicknamed the saffron shirt because most of them were of a saffron color, basically a mustardy yellow color. Now, the thing is, if we go on, let's see if I go on here, that's a blow up. Let's go over to the Clanranald page on this, and it's mentioned here towards the bottom here, just above the clan banner, the heraldic banner there. And let's see, we back up a little bit. Ranald Galda fled to his kinsman, Lord Lovett, while John gathered his forces to oppose Ranald. They met to the north of Loch Lochy in 1544 in a battle called Blàr na Léine, where Ranald was killed. John was acknowledged as chief of Clanranald. So, okay, anyway, they didn't go in. Clanranald doesn't bring up this whole argument that it was the Feileadh Mor, the Belted Plaid, the Great Kilt, in an extreme layman's terms, a term that I really don't wish to use. But anyway, a term that people generally use because it's very more well known. But Clanranald doesn't even bring up anything about, they threw off their kilts and fought in them. The truth of the matter is that they were just already wearing shirts, the big shirts. Now, there was a plaid of sort that they probably threw off. Now, I'm saying plaid, and some of you are probably thinking plaid. But anyway, plaid's an old Scots word that means blanket, and it's pronounced plaid, not plaid. It's sort of an English bastardization of the term. Now, here is an old image illustration of a guy wearing a Léine and a brat over his head and body. Brat is what they called the plaid in those days. It was not quite the size of the Belted Plaid. It was about half the length, roughly. Here is another illustration showing the brat. And the vested garment, or sometimes it had sleeves, actually normally it had sleeves, that was worn with that period. It's called an ionar. Here's another popular image you'll see. And this actually comes from the pattern books that you can buy on making this garment. And that big yellow shirt is the Léine. The big blue thing over this guy with the red ionar, that's his brat. Here's another image of the Léine and how short he's got it hiked up. Notice he's not wearing any pants or tights at all. Same thing with this other guy. Big, long shirts. Let's move on again. This one is actually supposed to be an image of a Scot in a Léine, and he's got his ionar. You see it pleated in the back a little bit. Probably another thing that confuses people into thinking they were wearing a kilt because the ionars, many of them had this pleating going around the bottom of it. And he's got his bow and he's trying to hunt a deer here. Actually, in the corner here, or on the side, there's a couple other guys with bows getting ready to shoot at this deer, the stag. Here's another image of the Léine. And you see the ionars and a couple. This guy right here, third from the right, it's got a brat going over here. The little guy directly in the middle here of the image, he's got a brat on. This has got sort of a furry fringe on it. The guy next to him has got a brat going over his head as well. And the guy on the very left holding up a broadsword has also got a brat on. By the way, these are actually Irish broadswords these guys are carrying. This actually might be an Ireland image. So even in the Irish, we're possibly wearing the brats. The guy here on the very right, though, appears to be holding a long dirk in his hand, which actually was not. I'm not even sure if that was really the more common blade at that time. I believe it was the bullock dagger. And now I'm going to focus on something from this book that talks about the brat. Not sorry, yeah, the brat and the Léine. Let's see if I can find it where it's at. Here it is. Yeah, and it's from 1583, and it's a description from a Frenchman that visited Scotland, and is describing how the Lowland Scots dressed and how the Highland Scots dressed. Anyway, the descriptions of the more primitive form of dress are still very confusing. They tend to contradict one another. From Nicolas de Arfevel, if I pronounce that right, I don't speak French, we understand that the saffron tunic is still the main garment. Those who inhabit Scotland to the south of the Grampian Mountains are tolerably civilized and orderly and speak the English language. But those who inhabit the north are more rude, homely, and unruly, and for this reason are called wild. They wear, like the Irish, a large and full shirt, the saffron shirt or the Léine, colored with saffron, and over this garment hanging to the knee of coarse wool, after the fashion of a cassock, which is the mantle or the brat that he's wearing, this plaided garment. And I'm not referring to the pattern. It doesn't have to be. It could be a solid color. They go bearded. They let their hair grow very long and wear neither hose nor shoes, except some who have boots made of an old-fashioned way, which come as high as their knees. Now, this is a story that also talks about an era where there were boots worn in the Highlands. This will become a subject of another video in the future. I'm not going to touch on it right now. But anyway, and this comes from the book, A Short History of Scottish Dress. And there is the author, R.M.D. Grange. So, that's what I've got to say about that. Notice I have a little bit more evidence showing here. I could reference other books. I could reference McClintock's book on old Irish and Scottish dress. And I could reference Matthew Newsom's book on Highland dress as well. I can't remember the title of it off the top of my head, but his is very much sort of a summarized version of McClintock's book, in my opinion, anyway. But they both would just back up what I'm saying here, which these are the books that are pretty much considered to be the source material for what reenactors would consider for the Renaissance period for reenacting Scottish Highland dress. So anyway, that's what I got to say in this video. It's not really genealogical fantasy related, however, it is related to a story from Clan Fraser of Lovat. And thanks for watching and listening. Catch you on the flip side.